Everybody, welcome to the new YouTube channel. This is Danielle. I'm going to be doing Fear the Walking Dead recaps every Sunday or Monday after the episode airs. First of all, I would like to welcome you to the channel. Until we get other content up, this is it. Ugh. Gotta take that beanie off, it's too hot. Let's just get right into the episode. Episode 1, overall, for me, felt kind of slow, but in a good way. I was pleasantly surprised with the way that they are introducing the characters and kind of getting us set up, knowing about this dysfunctional family and this dysfunctional situation. I am a huge fan of The Walking Dead, so I'm really excited to see how this all started in a different city. When the show opens up, we see Nick. He's in this like churchy, heroin-y, like drug den type situation, and he clearly is out of it, not even wearing his own clothes because that outfit was ridiculous. And we come across the first instance of a walker in the present time. Now, it's been revealed that this time would be when Rick is in his coma in the original show. So these first couple of months, we hadn't seen the outbreak or what happened previously, except for those little flashbacks we saw in season 1 of Walking Dead. So with this one, the show opens up straight away into a situation where someone's running into a walker, except for now, this isn't part of the norm. This isn't part of the normal thing that people are used to seeing, so of course this dude's freaking out. He's running away, fucking scared out of his mind because this bro is eating people. Well, or should I say this girl is eating people. He runs so fast and so hard that he ends up getting blasted by a car in the middle of the street, which then lands him in the hospital. Surprise, surprise. You see his mom, who is also a guidance counselor at the school. You see his pseudo stepdad that had just moved in with them that shows up with Mama Bear. They're checking in on him, want to see what happened. And, you know, the cops are questioning this kid, wanting to know what happened. Mama Bear goes into protection mode and is like, get the fuck out of here. Travis decides to stay behind and take care of Nick while Mama Bear goes to school. She runs across this kid named Tobias. Now, Tobias reminds me of kind of the kids we see now. You know, he tries to sneak something that's obviously not allowed into the school, but she kind of does this little slip trick of the hand and helps him out with it and says, you know, get your ass in my office. What the fuck are you doing with this? He's got a knife. And Tobias is saying some crazy shit like, oh, we've got to be, you know, we're safer in numbers. We've got to stay together. I need it. Please don't take it away from me type of situation. He was terrified. And he brings up the fact that it's happening in 5 other cities. It's some sort of virus of some sort. And now we kind of get a little glimpse of the people who clearly spend a lot of time online and who are following this. And you know he's probably a Redditor. Like, he's on Reddit and he knows what the fuck's going on before everybody else. So he's one of those people that, like, eerily just knows the world's about to go to shit. Like, he's just saying, nobody's going to college. Like, this shit's about to get crazy. We get back into the hospital. We hear Nick telling Travis of what he saw. And I think it's kind of goofy that, like, all of a sudden Travis just wanders into some, like, heroin den in the middle of LA. I know that, like, if you wander into a heroin den in, like, shitty parts of the city, not good things are gonna happen here. So I really think that him wandering into a crack den in the middle of the night was very silly and kind of like, I don't know, one of the things the writers should have thought about. Like, you don't just wander into a crack den in the middle of the night. It's weird. The bodies are all gone. Like, all these bodies that Nick saw in the first part of the episode are gone. There's blood everywhere, but there's no bodies. So that's weird. So Travis is talking to Madison about what he saw and what he thinks is going on there. And she's, you know, rationalizing it of, oh, it's a crack den. Of course some bad shit's gonna go on there. She doesn't really understand what really went on there because she had never been. When we get to his classroom, the speech was really interesting. Whatever. I can't speak English, my bad. He was talking about how we needed to build a fire and eventually, through bothering that kid, to stay alive. Nature always wins was a big quote from this episode that really stuck out because it was something that you definitely listen to, and you're like, oh shit, knowing what we know because we watch The Walking Dead, we see that nature clearly took over. So we get back to the hospital, and the guy that is next to Nick in the hospital bed suddenly flatlines. The nurses and doctors are trying to revive this guy, and one thing I noticed after thinking about it was how urgent the doctors sounded. They sounded as if, like, get him downstairs immediately. Like, they just sounded very pressured and very eager to get him out of there and to get him downstairs, because I think that when this whole zombie apocalypse starts, hospitals are the first people to notice that when people die, they are reanimating into these things. So I think that that's kind of another parallel to The Walking Dead, of the fact that, you know, don't open, dead inside. They probably started regenerating so quickly that they just started throwing them all in a room somewhere and turning them loose on each other because they didn't know what else to do with them. You know, Nick sweet talks the nurse to let him out of his restraints so he can go to the bathroom, and upon, you know, the old man coding next to him, he was like, fuck, this is my opportunity to escape. So he fucking bolts. He puts on the old man's clothes and he is out of there. Once Madison and Travis realize that Nick is gone from the hospital, they start driving around looking for him, calling people that may know where he's at. They go to the church first because that is where he was in the beginning, and that's where Travis knew he was at that night. So they look around, and she, you know, says something bad happened here. Well, no shit. Oh, no shit, something bad happened here. Now she's finally seeing it. Some crazy dude jumps out of a closet like, don't kill me, don't kill me. So, like, obviously they know some fucked up shit's going on. She has, like, this mini breakdown, like, oh shit, something bad's really happening. Oh my God. You know, upon trying to find Nick, they call this guy Calvin, who's a friend of his, and they're like, Calvin, like, we need to find Nick. Where is he at? When they get to Calvin's house looking for Nick, first of all, Calvin ignored Nick's phone call first. And then after ignoring Nick's phone call, he was cleaning something out of the back of clearly his mother's or family member's van. When the parents pull up, they are asking him, like, oh, have you seen him? He says no. Run of the mill, looking for my son's shit. Don't find him. And go on about their way. Later that night, it gets to them being stuck in traffic in LA, which is completely not unheard of. Like, LA traffic is disgusting. And up ahead, they see sirens and helicopters, and they hear these, like, pop, 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 pop. So they're like, fuck this, we're getting off the freeway. And they, you know, push out of the traffic, get off on a exit that's randomly, just conveniently there, which is great. And that's all we see of that. The next day, it's a school day, and people are noticing that less and less kids are being sent to school. You know, in the beginning of the episode, they're talking about, oh, gotta get that flu shot because a lot of kids are out, blah, blah, blah. And she is seeing a group of teachers looking at this video of a guy who was in an accident. He died. He was on the stretcher. He then reanimates, bites a dude, and then people are trying to shoot him to knock him down, and he keeps getting up and walking towards them because now everybody's starting to see, like, holy shit, this isn't right. There are kids in a classroom watching the same video, one of them being her daughter from the show. And the funny thing, like, boom, headshot. Like, once they hit him in the head, then he dies. Like, they get a nice upfront view of, like, what the fuck is going on. It's just, ooh. So now we get to the good part. Now we get to the juicy shit. Nick meets up with Calvin. You know, they're having lunch. Calvin seems pretty chill. You know, he's not too aggressive, nothing. And eventually Nick starts talking about what happened and what shit did you give me. So now we have established that Calvin was his drug dealer, that dirty bastard. And upon starting to ask him these questions, Calvin gets kind of aggressive. He gets very, like, mad about it, you can tell. And they, you know, get food or whatever and drive away. Calvin and him are driving. They end up underneath the tunnel, the LA River tunnel area. And when they, you know, Calvin gets out of the car, gets something out of the trunk, we all find out it's a gun. He tries to then shoot Travis, but they get into an altercation. Travis ends up pulling the trigger and shooting Calvin, and oh boy, is dead. Nick freaks out, runs away, calls his mom, tells them what happened. And again, very funny that they're just kind of nonchalant, like, oh, you shot a guy? Whatever. But then again, when you think about it, He is a drug addict. They probably have been through this 1,000 times, and they probably couldn't trust him very much. So they go back to where the body was, where the car was, and nowhere to be found. Surprise, surprise. I mean, we all know what happened to him, but they don't yet. They start driving backwards through the tunnel to get out, and that's when they notice Calvin walking. So naturally, they're probably thinking, holy shit, like, he's alive, let's go get him. But then instead, obviously he's not alive, and Madison almost gets bit. They push him back, and Nick is like, fuck this. His ass is getting run over. So he just like magically runs him over. Motherfucker stands up, starts coming at him again. So he runs his ass over again. Then they all like look at him because he was like thrown feet from in front of the car, and he starts moving and like getting up again and twitching again. So at that point, they're all staring at it like, what the fuck is going on here? And then that's, you know, where the episode ends, and they show us the preview for the upcoming season. My overall reaction, like I say, when I first started this video was, you know, it was slow. It was a slow start, but it shows the beginning of what's going to happen. And it shows the progress of, you know, how quickly it can spread. I mean, honestly, this whole church full of junkies in like, what, 2 days was walkers? Interesting thing I read on Reddit this morning was a theory about Calvin. Apparently, people had noticed that, you know, when Travis went back to the church, all the bodies were gone. Now, that could either be one of two things. Either one, they are now wandering the streets as walkers, or they had been taken out and thrown away. So everyone's interesting theory that I kind of liked is Calvin went there, knew something bad had happened because he heard about what happened to Nick, went there that night and killed them all and got them all in his van and dumped the bodies before Travis got there. Then after that, he kind of knew like the situation of what was going on, and that's why he was cleaning the back of his van. And he knew that Travis knew how fucked up the shit he gave them ended up killing people, and they ended up, you know, turning into zombies. I think the fact that he didn't want to get in trouble and get found out for being a drug dealer and all of this is kind of why he wanted to silence Nick, because he didn't want that getting out. So that was like an interesting theory that I saw online and thought was a really, really cool part to the story that I would not have thought of at all. I just thought he was being a good boy, cleaning out his mama's van because he's nice like that. Also, like, my thought in the beginning was that Gloria clearly overdosed on whatever she had taken, and that's why she turned, because she hadn't been bitten. She looked fairly clean and was in fact biting and eating other people. So I think whatever is in the air or whatever is infecting everybody, I think that's key to knowing that you don't have to be bit to turn. But I'm interested to see what happens with this group of people in a different setting. Being in a large metropolis like this is very interesting because it'd be great. So thank you guys for watching. Every week I'm going to try to get these up by Monday night. Give this video a thumbs up if you like it, and don't forget to click subscribe. We will have recaps and more content out very soon. So thanks for watching, guys. Have a good week.